Donald Trump's White House underground tunnels to nowhere. Blame Truman, not Obama. Under TSA federal air marshal protection, there are tunnels underneath the United States. Because someone at whitehouse.gov1.info, a parody website, couldn't get creative enough. Air marshals for an underground tunnel from the TSA. Look up the requirements to become TSA. No, I mean it. Everybody needs to do that. This is hilarious. Okay, so here we go. 1814, the original White House was badly burned by the British as they attacked. Because, you know, because they did. Okay, so 1912, for aesthetics and to reduce surface street traffic, at the time, a huge sum of $5 million was made as a plan that would have built streetcar subway tunnel networks around the White House and in many other places in D.C., gradually putting them all underground. 1918, Senator Joseph Johnston, Democrat from Alabama, introduced a bill to do this. DOA. Nobody wanted to do it for aesthetic reasons. So, in the 1920s, the White House went through many modifications and redos. 1941, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's World War II air raid shelter was put in. This is a 761-foot long, 7-foot tall, 10-foot wide zigzag tunnel leading from the East Wing basement to the Treasury Building underground basement vault, because it was a heavier duty thing in case there was an air raid. That was 1941. Not atomic bomb proof. And it was zigzag to keep any explosion from propagating a shockwave in a straight line. This would bust it up a bit. There were little rooms off to the sides at various points along the tunnel, which were equipped with cots so that it could be used as an actual bomb shelter, an air raid shelter. Other tunnels built to facilitate the movement of freight and access for utility lines run from the Treasury Building and led to Riggs National Bank and the Treasury Annex. This was after we started using telecommunication, and electricity more, and gas, and lots of stuff took up space. They even had probably pneumatic tubes, and, you know, it's all a series of tubes. You can decide it was a cover story if you wish, that it wasn't being used for anything like that, but, well, I'm going to bring up why this wouldn't need a cover story. Some of you might want to know about this. 1948, January, Truman had seen a report that said the entire second floor, here he is, Truman, was about to fall down. Construction began on December 13th, 1949, and was due to cost about $5 million, or $54 million in today's money. It all lasted 660 days, 6 days less of the double Satan with a backflip. Your mom. During this time, the Trumans lived in the Blair House, which is the reason it's added to a list of things you probably were looking up when you found this video. The White House's official guest residence. Completed in 1952, nearly twice as long as had been expected, but at the budget. It didn't break budget, it just took longer. Because they underestimated how much work this would be for these works. You might want to reread what I'm saying here. And this was a gut job, as is known in the trade. The plan was to put in new foundations driven down another 22 feet to a gravel layer. You might want to look up the actual makeup of the earth around Washington, D.C. What is it really? The geology of Washington, D.C. I'll put a link below if I can find an actual copy of that. It's a book. It's not a Wikipedia article. I hope it is a Wikipedia article by now. Everything behind the facade was ripped out till a massive room effectively was made. 168 feet east to west and 82 feet across and 80 feet up. This replaced most of the entire inside of the White House. It was basically gutted so that the exterior would be attached to what was built next. which was gradually built from the outside in. You can look at pictures. I'll have a bunch of links below, and I'll put them up on an Imagear if I can get away with it. It was big enough to lay the Statue of Liberty down on her back and have 17 feet to spare. Huge steel columns, normally used for skyscrapers, that were 3 feet thick and 22 feet long, were brought in and attached using rivets the size of doorknobs, all used to make a load-bearing steel frame to hold the whole thing up. 80 ironworkers maneuvered each girder in through an opening in a window, with just 9 inches to spare on each side to ensure that the facade was not ruined, effectively cleaning up a mess that had been left by the previous 22 presidential occupants, going back to James Polk, who all did minor modifications or had complete rebuilds. Parts of this building were caving in on themselves. Now I want you to think very slowly about why I'm saying this. There's a gravel layer. September 1949. During all of this, Russians detonated their first nuclear bomb, an actual thermonuclear bomb, not just an atom bomb. And Cold War paranoia reaching fever pitch, plans for a bunker, which are still classified, were started. This is what is supposed to be known about it. Now, anything that's released about this is kind of passé because this is over 50 years ago. 7-foot thick walls, 9-foot ceiling, poured concrete for a roof, 2 stairways led down to it. One on the east wing, the other in the garden, and the entrance was behind a 4-inch thick steel door, with a retractable slit at eye level. The whole thing cost under $1 million. At eye level, a slit just big enough for you to look through, probably with a pinpoint here and a V shape going out. You'd slide the plate out of the way and be able to see out. After you enter it, just past its main door is a shower room and a large chamber with 40 military-issue cots for sleeping. Branching off the main room are several smaller chambers, a pantry, and an 8-foot by 10-foot room for use by the Trumans, complete with 4 bunk beds and ready-stocked bookshelf. This included water, provisions, gasoline or diesel-based generators, air filters, and probably filtration rooms. If you don't know about that, you might want to look up how to actually make a nuke-proof building. I've actually learned this stuff. Nobody needs to do these anymore for a simple thing. Anyway, in 1950, the 106 miles of Washington's metro was a subway system, this is the subway part, that had 86 stations and serves areas in Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Maryland. This is a fairly large, incredibly large thing. 1950. At that time, that's what they had. Okay, now I'm going to read on the rest of the history here. 1986, Reagan administration to protect the president in the event of a terrorist attack, not a nuke. Something else was built, and it was called Project ZP. A 150-foot passageway from the Oval Office to the East Wing. That's all it was. It's just a diagonal. Pressing a panel on a wall adjacent to the restroom next to the Oval Office caused a secret door to slide open, leading to a staircase down in the well-lighted passageway tunnel that came out in a storage closet across from the president's private elevator in the basement of the residence of the first family, which is at the other in the other location in the East Wing. 2011, $376 million project called the Big Dig. Tunnel was excavated for access to utilities near the West Wing, and near it, and next it will be the East Wing. Maybe it's just a bunch of pipes and wires like Area 51. Nothing to see here. Everybody joked about it. It's kind of a cute in-joke. The thing is that even though they hung up a curtain, people fly over the area all the time. The airspace over the area is actually restricted, but well, I'll get on with it. A tunnel to Lafayette Park Square is said to have been created by Lincoln and features in a 1993 movie called Dave, and 1996's Murder at 1600. All of this is based on a novel, Murder in the White House, that was written by President Truman's daughter. You might want to figure out where this mythos comes from. This is a running gag at the White House. Subsequent presidents since then have added their own additions to the building, which are on the up and up and are recorded. You have to look for actual work being done. Nixon built a bowling alley. Obama had installed solar panels. Now 6,000 visitors a day, or 2.1 million a year, visit this shell that was turned into something interesting. See also fake bunker blueprints that people have put up on said joke website. They're not real blueprints, for a very specific set of reasons I'm going to go into. And I'm going to read a little bit more here. There's going to be a large number of links below. All of them are going to be archive.todays or archive.is's or whatever. Not very many of them are going to go to the original website because there's too many of them. So let's discuss the meme of the deep underground bunker tunnel system that's supposed to crisscross the United States. No basis. You're at the 11-minute mark, and I'm going to put it in here at the top that this meme literally has no basis. There's a novel written by a president's daughter. There are rumors about this going back for a long time. It's an in-joke people make. Let's talk about the specific request. A secondary secret underground rail system that would have to be built in a way that is completely unrelated to the underground tunneling system that was actually put in, and the proposed one that didn't get put in. Okay, that's supposed to be there. And it would require at least as much work to put in. It's easier to dig a trench, put stuff in, and then put a roof on it, and then put a roadway over it. That's the way it's been done for a very long time everywhere. Tunneling is extremely difficult compared to doing that. You use gravity to help you dig the trench. You use gravity to set up everything and test everything and get it all marked and membered, and you can do all the work a lot easier. And then you cover it up and use the dirt. Use gravity to put the dirt in. You literally don't have to do that kind of stuff. You're not able to do any of that kind of stuff when you drill. Tunneling is extremely dangerous, difficult. Suffocating under dirt is extremely frightening. Take it from me. All right? So here we go. A secondary secret underground rail system from the White House built alongside the public one to go to the following locations. Eisenhower Executive Office Building, Joint Base Anacostia Bowling, Blair House. Then we go U.S. Capitol, the Naval Observatory, which is not that far away, the Pentagon, the State Department, Union Station, okay. And then the claim somehow, because this makes sense to people, Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center, Virginia, and Camp David, and then Site RT, it's not R, it's RT, Pennsylvania, Raven Rock Mountain Complex. Alright, what's the fastest speed through a tunnel that you know of a train going through? Look it up. How fast can you get away with going on a major street? Okay. How fast is a helicopter? How often would this system be used? Would it be financially useful to put in these tunnels except for some really cool thing in some president's daughter's novel? It's more practical. After helicopters were invented, it was more practical to use a helicopter. It's cheaper. If they existed ever, they're not really used for that. Most of these things are used for shipping and receiving underground uninterrupted because Washington, D.C. is a target on the nuke list. It's the target. If anyone wants to know, I'm going to do another video on how difficult it is to tunnel more than a couple of dozen feet a day. And again, the geology of Washington, D.C. isn't really friendly to tunneling. But you can keep making these assertions all you want. As for a connection to Obama's house, no. And if it was put in, it's already been put in. Why would they allow that if you're not always going to be president? That would be a waste of materials and time. And very obvious. Any website that is promoting this idea is either lying to you or it's just playing fun. Anybody who takes it seriously is missing some basic points about why you use cars and airplanes. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and I hope this was a useful history lesson.